What's up guys, it's Endymion, and today I want to explore the themes of one of Elden Ring's dark outer gods and the lore behind its maddening existence. Today it's all about the Frenzied Flame and how the chaos it brings and what it represents in the world of Elden Ring. But first, let's hear from the sponsor of this video, NordVPN. If you're like me, navigating the hellscape that is the internet can be both fun and equally terrifying, knowing there's all kinds of weird stuff out there just waiting to seize your information and cause harm to your digital identity. NordVPN instantly hides your info so nobody can mess with your data. So if you need to hide from international assassins or protect yourself from hackers in Elden Ring PvP, then this is for you. With this promo, Nord's making a special offer through my channel, and if you go to the link in the description, you can get a 2-year plan with a massive discount plus an extra month free as well. NordVPN is super easy to use, even for monkey brains like myself, and it quite literally takes a single click and your internet data and privacy is protected instantly. Nord even has a new feature called Threat Protection, which is basically a super beefed up feature that protects your IP address from evil websites, scary malware, trackers, and annoying ads. And this can all be enabled even if you're not connected to the VPN server either. Threat Protection scans every file you download, and the moment it discovers something bad going on, the file is instantly deleted, saving you the stress of having to deal with your devices being full of evil malware so you can surf in peace. Click the link in the description below for a super cheap 2-year plan as well as a free month. And remember, NordVPN has a 30-day money-back guarantee as well, so try it today and save yourself from some dude in the Netherlands taking your identity. Unless you're from the Netherlands, then this is awkward. Anyway, you can get all of this by clicking the link in my description, and I want to thank NordVPN again for sponsoring the channel. And now, let's get on with the video. The Frenzied Flame is a chaotic outer god that seems to be the opposite of what the Greater Will represents. While the Golden Order and its people champion their peace through law and tradition, the Frenzied Flame is opposite, representing the primal want of chaos and destruction. According to Hyetta, a disciple, she describes how that all life at one point came from one source, a force known as the One Great. The community has speculated much about this, and the general conclusion is that the One Great may have been the original form of both the Frenzied Flame and the Greater Will. But at some moment in history, the singular outer god may have been severed into two distinct halves instead. Regardless if this is true or not, none of us can really say yet anyway, but there are hints at what the Frenzied Flame is exactly. From what we can understand so far, the Frenzied Flame may have originally chosen its own Marika-like figure to enact its will upon the lands between. Queen Marika created the Golden Order, sealed destiny death, and brought upon the law that the Greater Will desired upon the lands between. The opposite of Marika would be something very unholy and reviled, a single mysterious man simply known as Shabriri. The talisman Shabriri's Woe states, "Disturbing likeness of a man whose eyes have been gouged out. The corners of his mouth are upturned in an almost flirtatious manner." It is said that the man named Shabriri had his eyes gouged out as punishment for the crime of slander, and with time the blight of the flame of frenzy came to dwell in the empty sockets. The talisman seems to show what I can only assume is the only depiction of what Shabriri looked like. His eyes gouged out due to the madness he witnessed by the Frenzied Flame would lead Shabriri to be the perfect avatar for a malevolent power like the flame. But it goes further than this. To fully understand, let's look at the spell Howl of Shabriri, which states, "Incantation originating from the maddening 3 fingers. It is said that the sickness of the flame of frenzy began with Shabriri, the most reviled man in all history." Now that's one hell of a statement for this spell to say that Shabriri was not only the originator of this foul power, but was considered to be the most reviled and awful person to ever exist in the history of the lands between. And let's not forget that the Dung Eater is also kicking around, and considering how messed up his story is, that kinda tells you how insane Shabriri must have been even before embracing the frenzy. But the gouging of the eyes seems very peculiar, and further inspection of some spells may give us the answers we seek. The spell Inescapable Frenzy states, "To gaze into one another's eyes is truly the most intimate form of human contact. While brief in description, this spell may hold the key to the horrific mutilation of removing one's eyes. If the Frenzied Flame revels in the chaos of reducing everything to zero, then removing what is considered the windows into a person's soul would be a good way of ensuring your avatar would be capable of the most sacrilegious acts in the name of your ideology. Even in death, it seems the power of the Frenzied Flame persists, with the essence of of Shabriri even being capable of possessing beings like Yura as well. This madness also seems to be the reason why the previous champion before you began your journey to become Elden Lord actually failed and disappeared into ambiguity. See, there was once a tarnish named Vyke. He's actually the warrior on the cover of the game, and his armor tells us more about what happened to him. The fingerprint armor states, "Iron armor singed and blistered by fingers worn by Vyke, Knight of the Round Table Hold." No other tarnish was closer to the throne of the Elden Lord than Vyke, but without announcement, Vyke traveled far below the capital and was scorched by the flame of frenzy. Did he make his choice for his maiden, or did some other force lure him with suggestion? The fact that Vyke may have succumbed to the frenzy in order to save his maiden could suggest that Vyke valued love over his own lordship. Or maybe Vyke knew or saw something that disillusioned him from his path, like knowing he would have to sacrifice his maiden to burn the Erd Tree to become lord. This may have led to Vyke being swayed by the madness of the Frenzied Flame to become its next champion to usher in an era of destruction upon the lands between. Likely as revenge for the cruel fate of being forced to kill the woman he loved to save a land that, in Vyke's eyes, may not have been worth saving after all. Although if you travel beneath the golden capital of Landel, you can find what seems to be a mass grave of wandering merchants, each laying in various positions from being murdered or losing their minds, it seems. These merchants may have allied themselves with the flame, since they too seem to be followers of the order at some point, given that they all hold little staves with golden hands on them, a symbol of the greater will. But they were imprisoned for blasphemy, and likely being so close to the maddening source, they all died, or worse, they all became insane. Once you descend to the bottom and remove all your clothing, again fitting in line with the concept of reducing yourself to a primal state, you can enter what looks like a fingerprint-scarred door, and inside you are greeted with the Frenzied Fingers themselves. Oddly enough, the Frenzied Fingers have 3 digits with a palm, and when you look at the 2 fingers in the Round Table Hold, when combined, the 2 vassals become a whole hand, which again may signify that the Greater Will and the Frenzied Flame were most likely 2 sides of the same god at one point. But upon reaching these fingers, you are singed, much like Vyke and likely Shabriri before you, and become the new Lord of Frenzied Flame, as the fingers almost squeeze you in equal parts anger and pleasure as they bestow their primal frenzy upon your body. Afterwards, you awake with maddeningly feral eyes, now showcasing that you have fully embraced the chaos. Eventually, once you reach the end of the game, you can usher in the Lord of Frenzy ending, which reduces the entire world into a sweltering miasma of destruction and chaos. Although it may seem like a bad ending, likely what the Frenzied Flame represents is what fire is to dead, shriveled grass. Left alone, dead grass can't really grow, but once it's purified by fire, what once lay dead and stagnant can grow anew and beautiful again. Free of its previous shackles, now pure and healed. That's how I perceive the ending and purpose of the Frenzied Flame. If you usher in the Greater Will's default ending, you repair the Elden Ring and ensure its reign. However long or short it may be, it can continue at least. But you also preserve the problems and the weakness of a world without death like before as well. By burning away the stagnant, dried, but never truly dead life, sure, it's chaotic, it's even scary, but in the end, what is the point of life if there is no motion, no innovation or continuation of life? The world would simply be a land of stagnant decay. And the world, under the power of the Frenzied Flame, while chaotic, would be ultimately free to become something new and potentially better than what's come before. But ultimately, what happens to the lands between is up to you as the player. Will you uphold the status quo, or burn it all down and laugh while all of creation screams for salvation? And what if the Frenzied Flame doesn't purify the world, but twists it until life itself cannot exist? Like all endings in Elden Ring, I can't say for sure. But there is one thing, watching the fire dance across the sky as all of creation crumbles is strangely beautiful. Sure, the world is ending, but it sure is pretty to look at. Well guys, that's the video on the Frenzied Flame and what it means for the world and its inhabitants. Have anything to add? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you again to NordVPN for sponsoring the video. This is actually my very first sponsorship ever, so I hope I did it right and Nord doesn't send VPN ninjas to infiltrate my home for messing anything up. I mean, my IP address is secure now though, so good luck finding me, I guess. Anyway, thanks to Nord for that, and thanks for watching as well. Thanks to my patrons as always for supporting me on Patreon, and subscribe for more content. I'm Endymion. I have some ambitious plans for a future video or two, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna go figure that out now, and I'll see you in the next one.